So if you're someone that has headaches and neck pain and you've been frustrated with your care and you haven't figured out a solution for your problem, then you're going to want to listen to this because this is going to be Stacey's story. She went through a lot. I mean, when I say a lot, she went through a lot of pain over the years and never found a solution until she kind of came to our office. So, Stacey, welcome.
Hi.
So, tell us a little bit about your story of like what happened and kind of what you tried and all those things.
So this started like over 3 years ago, and I just had something called occipital nerve, which is like, behind the ears. And my neurologist was like, you need to go get, first we tried oral steroids for about 3.5, 4 months. And I mean, high doses. And it worked while I was on them, but as soon as I got off them, the pain would come back. Then he's like, you need to try some physical therapy. Well, I did that for 6 months. And as long as I did it 2 or 3 times a week, it was working. But as soon as I stopped, it came back. And then I did about 4 to 6 months of nerve blocks in my head, where a neurologist literally put like a needle this big in my head and deadened it. And it worked maybe the first couple times. And then it stopped working. And then I went to a pain management person. And this is like all, I'm not a wimp. This is all like debilitating pain to where I was like constantly having pain behind my ears and just moving my neck and no joke, awful pain.
Oh, people don't
Taking,
understand. Yeah. I mean, like
no,
when you have like pain close to your head, it is exhausting. You can't
yes,
think. All you want to do is just close your eyes, go to bed, and you're doing everything you possibly can to function throughout the day to basically go back to bed, wake up, and do it all over again. You're barely functioning. You may look
right.
normal, but you're not.
No, it was absolutely awful. And then I tried the neurologist gave me some kind of basically really, really strong Advil to where I had to take something in the morning to make my stomach okay to take this strong
Oh
medicine.
gosh.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to bite the bullet and do the pain management doctor. And they did something where they did one injection on one side where they put you to sleep and do, I forgot what it was called, but something that didn't work. A couple weeks later, they do the other side. That didn't work. Then they do what's called a radio frequency ablation in my neck, and that made everything worse. So for like 6 weeks after that, I'm now having awful neck pain on top of the head pain, which the pain behind the ears was better, but now my neck is awful. And it was like, I mean, I can't even describe how awful it was. And my sister was like, you know what? You need to go see Stephanie. And I am not kidding you. In like one time, I was like, holy cow, why did I not do this 3 years ago? And I have been like, I don't want to say 100% pain free, but it's gotten to where I'm not taking Advil or Tylenol on a daily basis. And I don't think about it because my neck doesn't hurt and I can move it and I can play sports again. And it's
Yeah.
just been like all over the place. And
And I think you're probably at like 5 visits now. So you're still in the midst of doing treatment, but I mean, each treatment kind of builds upon itself and you get kind of better and better and better. And unfortunately, like with our medical system, we just treat symptoms of stuff. Like they're just throwing so many just chemicals and different things. But if you don't understand the mechanics of it, then it doesn't touch it. It's like that didn't work. And I'm still frustrated and the pain came back again. And I don't want to be on these medications for the rest of my life because what is that going to do to me type thing. So how were we different compared to the other physical therapy office?
so y'all like really got in there and moved things around to where the other physical therapy, it was just kind of like stretching and stuff like that. And once I had told my neurologist about like that you did this McKinsey therapy, he's like, that's what you need. That is like the best kind. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that 3 years ago?
Yes.
But it was just, I don't know. Sometimes it was a little painful, but it worked.
Yeah,
And
especially at
it
the very
made,
beginning. Yeah, when you really aren't
yes,
moving, because I mean, the thing with the neck is there's so many, like how the upper neck moves is very different than how the middle neck moves, and it's very different than how the lower part of the neck moves. And then you have your ribs, and they're all connected. And if any one of those isn't moving, it can create issues. And what people don't even understand that sometimes people can have no issues in their neck or their upper neck, but it's the ribs that create the headache. So, and a lot of times it's a combination of everything. And our first phase of treatment is always like, look at the mobility. How do things move? And then you can go into kind of stability and things like that. With the neck, you don't have as much stability unless you need to work on some shoulder blade strengthening, getting your shoulders to move the way they're supposed to be moving so that you're not
uh-huh.
compensating and using like your upper trap. But that's where, I mean, stretches, I mean, the muscle is tight because of something else that's going on. And everyone wants to focus on the muscles or the nerves. The nerves is what's create. Well, why is the nerve like that? Like you have to get into the why of things.
Oh yeah. Like the other physical therapist was like, okay, let's do all these different things to build up the
The
nerves in
strength.
there. First, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And that didn't
No,
seem to work.
you can't do strength. If you can't physically move, then you're just going to be going around it and you're just going to be creating the same patterns that you have that honestly, a lot of times will keep you hurting. And any kind of movement will make it feel better, but then you go right back to the same thing because you're not getting to the source of why you're hurting in the begin with. So give us some of your fears if this didn't get solved.
I mean, I thought I was going to become, I mean, not a drug addict, but like on Tylenol, Advil, and
Yeah.
get an ulcer the rest of my life
Yeah.
because nothing else worked. I mean, I had tried everything imaginable to do it. And it's just like amazing that, you know, in 2 treatments, I was not 100% fine, but now I'm 3 weeks out from my last treatment
Yeah.
and I'm like moving and
Yeah.
can do everything. I
Yeah.
played pickleball twice this weekend and
Which is awesome.
I had, no problems.
Yeah.
So
You feel like you
that,
have your life back.
yes. And not having like the constant pain of, moving my neck or
Mhm.
trying to pop it or,
Yeah.
you know, having to sit there with heat on it every night.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
so much better. You've been my lifesaver.
Yeah. And that's all amazing because, I'm sure when you start feeling better, you don't realize how bad you were and how hard it was. Like you're just wondering, like, how did I live with this? Which is
Mm,
always, I mean, we hear people say that all the time. Like, I can't even believe that I lived with that much pain and how much more energy I have now.
yeah. I mean, my family was probably so sick of me complaining about my neck, but I'm like, you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like debilitating
Yeah.
and hurt. And they're like, oh, but it's just your neck. I'm like, no, but it's the back of my head and behind my ears. Like, I couldn't wear reading glasses, like
Because it would irritate
having
you.
my readers on because it would irritate back here,
Yeah.
or even sunglasses.
Yeah.
So now it's like I can wear my sunglasses or reading glasses or a ball cap, like if I
Yeah.
play a
Any kind of pressure
sport,
through there.
anything.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
what would
been
you, yeah,
fabulous.
what would you tell someone that was on the fence of coming into our office?
So one of my girlfriends was on the fence and she hadn't played, we play tennis together and she hadn't played in like 6 months because she did something to her foot or ankle, or I don't even know what it was, but she couldn't run. And this is a tennis player who's been playing for 30 years. And she was like, you know, barely like standing there hitting the ball. And after I think 1 or 2 treatments with you, she's running around again. And it was like the craziest thing, like her foot. Like, I mean, I watched her. We went on a trip and she has like this limp. And I mean, especially the older people, or I should say 40 plus,
40
you
plus.
just,
Yeah. Well, and you get to the point like that you feel like this is just the way it is, and this is what you have to live with this, especially when you go from doctor to doctor to doctor, and they're like, well, you're just getting older. And I'm like, the doctor tells me that, and I want to punch him in the face. I don't, but I basically fire them and I move on.
yeah. And
Because
I
it's
mean,
happened to
even
me.
another friend, I'm like, she's having back problems. I'm like, oh my God, you've got to go see Stephanie. I'm like, you need to go to Empowered. I'm like, it's amazing. And I am not one to push things like
Yeah.
this. Like, I'm just like, you do your own thing, but it has been a life-saving
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
And
Well, and you just don't want other people to go down that path that you went down, because
no,
it's not a fun path. And so, like, if you can help someone not do that, then of course you're going to share it. It's the way I would
right.
be. Like, if I had something that was so life changing, which I have. I mean, this is how I've gotten doctors that I work with that I'll send people to when I know that they have like autoimmune conditions or things that are going on, because I'm like, I had a similar issue. So I know how bad it is. And I know how frustrating the medical system is. And I know I'm like, I have a place. So when you're ready, like that's where I want you to go, because you're going to get answers and you're going to get your life back. So it's similar. We all go through it. And it's ultimately, why I was able to create the practice that I have, because of all my frustrations, whether it be orthopedic or health or whatever, with the medical system, and not listening, and not like using critical thinking skills to put what you're saying together to go like, okay, these are all the things that we need to look at. Cause there's
Right.
patterns, everything you can figure out the patterns. You just have to spend the time and think about it, and not like brush people off because you don't have time to spend with them to figure it out. Well, thank you so much, Stacey. We just lost her, but your story was amazing, and I know that it's going to be able to help so many people.